Well, dadgummit, I made a couple of egregious mistakes in the first take of this video, so I'm gonna have to redo it. I just deleted the first take. Oh boy. Well, hey, it's Monday. Rainy days and Mondays. Or Manic Monday, like the Bangles sang. Heard that song today, as a matter of fact, by the Bangles. What a lovely record that was. But let's get into this record at number 8 on my fancy playlist, March 18th, 1983. Up 4 from number 12, Dexy's Midnight Runners. Come on, Eileen, their only American hit. That is it. They had a runner-up. Some was called Celtic something, but they only got as high as number 86 here in the States. Dexy's Midnight Runners, the genesis started in the late 70s, formed in 1978. The guitarist, Al Archer, and lead singer Kevin Rowland, they were in a punk band called the Killjoys back in the 70s. And Kevin Rowland envisioned forming a soul band with a brass section, just had the, just jamming. And so Dexy's Midnight Runners came into being, and their first British single was Dance Dance. And Dance Dance is 60s, it's got sort of a little bit of that 60s classic rock, got that 60s soul, that brass sound again coming into play. And Kevin Rowland sounding a little bit like John Lennon. If you remember how John Lennon used to play around with his voice a little bit when he was in the Beatles and when he was pursuing his solo career. And Gino came out by Dexy's Midnight Runners. Gino went to number 1 in England. Was not released here as a single in the States. Was not played here in the States. I just listened to the song for the first time on YouTube, Gino. And it was a tribute to a soul singer, American soul singer named Gino Washington. Topped the British charts for them. Come On Eileen was their 5th single in England. Went to, I think, number 1 song in England of 1982. And went to number 1 here in the States. It knocked Michael Jackson's Billie Jean out of the top spot. Believe me, that was no small achievement. Those guys, when they saw, I'm sure when they saw that on Billboard's Hot 100, they were like, "Oh my goodness, man, we're on fire if we knock Michael Jackson off the top." The song is about a relationship that Kevin Rowland had. With Eileen. Eileen was 13 years old. He and Eileen, 13 years old, they had a romantic relationship. A couple of years later, they evolved into a sexual relationship, but Kevin Rowland grew up as a Catholic, and sex was a taboo. He was an altar boy at the church, and he's having this thing going on the side. The song is sort of a tension between the exuberance, the absolute rapture of having a sexual relationship, as opposed to, I wish I could break free of these constraints imposed by the church, imposed by society, something like that. Something a bit cosmic along those lines. The girl in the video was played by an actress named Mary Foschi. I believe that's how you pronounce her last name. I was looking up these words on these words on YouTube. Marie Foschi, the sister of Siobhan Foschi of Bananarama. And don't get me started on Bananarama. God, awesome harmonies. Cruel Summer in the summer of '84 here in the States. There was Venus. I heard a rumor. But my goodness, Shy Boy, what a lovely record. Back in the summer of '83, listening to that record, it had an exotic sound to it, almost a calypso sound to it, a Motown meets calypso sound to it. I was thinking of Caribbean, Boundless Sunshine, Hawaiian shirts, and just jamming out to this record, sipping on the tequila. It was a fantastic record. It was not a hit here in the States, though. But it was huge in England, top 10 in England, Shy Boy by Bananarama. And Siobhan Foschi, also in Shakespeare's Sister. And please don't get me started on Stay. Oh, God, what an Awesome record, awesome video. Back in the spring of 1992. I just tripped over that record. Well, let's get back to Dexy's Midnight Runners. I guess that's it. Here's the thing about this record. I don't know if I mentioned this. A lot of songs in the 80s use synthesizers. Synthesizers-driven records in the 80s. But even though Come On Eileen is considered a quintessential 80s record, it does not sound like an 80s record. They used the fiddle. You don't hear the fiddle that much in pop records back in the 80s. Accordion, banjo. If this song was just a little bit more hillbilly, just a little bit more hillbilly, this song probably could have made it on Hee Haw here in the States. We'll have Dexy's Midnight Runners on there along with Buck Owens and Roy Clark, and hey, what you got? Country Rama Jamma. Dexy's Midnight Runners. Come On Eileen at number 8 on my fancy playlist of March 18th, 1983.